Hi, I'm Alex Christofferson. I'm with you today to make a comparison between two guitars that would thrill, I guess, many of you lovers of early 80s Japanese guitars out there. It's two Ibanez Artists, or one from I think 1980 and one from 1981. So they share a lot of similarities, both solid bodies, but they're also different in notable aspects. Okay, I could have started this video with like a million caveats. I can't play, I don't really know much about these guitars, and there's 100 things you could have done differently. The sound could be affected by like where you hit the strings or all kinds of things, and I'm simply not scientific on that. But as it happens, I do have access to both these guitars on this very day, and I simply couldn't resist making this video. I've read a lot of people comparing these guitars in articles, like in posts on various forums and stuff like that, but I haven't seen a shoulder-to-shoulder sound comparison of them, so I wanted to contribute that. I'll start with the first one, which I'll refer to as the 2619, which was, well, that was one of the sort of top Ibanez Artist models in the late 70s, the 2619. And the thing is that they eventually changed the specs and changed the name to AR-300, which is the other one I have here. And though they look very similar in the shape, there are some differences. The most noticeable one, I think, sound-wise, is the pickups. The thing was, they actually changed the name before they changed the specs. So technically, this guitar of 1980 that I refer to as the 2619 was actually sold as an AR-300 if you look at the catalogue. Just to start off trying to position these guitars a bit in guitar history, as you know, I mean, there was Fender and Gibson throughout the 50s and 60s, and in the 70s a lot of Japanese instrument makers started making copies, outright copies, many of them, of specific Gibson and Fender guitars. Towards the end of the 70s they had been sued, and a couple of makers, including Ibanez with success, sort of started making their own takes on things, taking the knowledge they had achieved, but going forward with their own marketing, their own product development. And this was sort of a top the Artist series with Ibanez was pretty much top of the line, very much Les Paul, Gibson Les Paul inspired, but very much going down its own path. It doesn't look like a Les Paul anymore. And I would say, while many people call them sort of Les Paul killers to sort of signify that they're good quality, I don't think that's fair, because this is properly an instrument on its own. It's not a Les Paul sound primarily, though you can get it, and we'll see that as well. But simply take it for what it is. What they did around 76, 77, it was getting this shape. Well, this is it simply. It's similar to the AR-300 in many aspects, but we'll take a look at some of the different notable differences. There is quite a difference in weight, with the older one from the 70s being lighter. The second, the major difference is that around 77, I think, they started placing these pickups in it, being the Super 80s. And the Super 80s, I've seen some reference talking about them as ceramic and relatively hot. And I don't know if you can see it here, but they're famous for their sort of inscription it's called the Flying Fingers inscription. And you could Google it and see it if you can't see it here on the screen. But you might see there is a pattern engraved into the pickup covers. So that's the Super 80s, and we'll see what effect it has. If you, when they shift, you see also these sort of white tuner knobs. But one of the differences you'll see if you compare them side by side, the 2619 with the later AR-300, is that it's as if the neck sticks out longer on the 2619, and you'll see it with the placement of the pickups that comes just near the edge of the guitar on the 2619, and you can count the frets, and you'll see that there's actually a fret having moved into the body on the AR-300. If I place them back to back here, you might see that the 2619 here is actually a little bit longer, higher, so it has its neck sticks out longer from the body. I don't know if you can see the difference in width, but probably you will get an idea that the reddish here on the side, AR-300, is quite a bit thicker, and weight-wise, it definitely makes a difference. The AR-300 as such has the Super 58 pickups that are not engraved. They're sort of plain in color. They are referred to in where I've read about them, they're referred to as alnico pickups, compared with the Gibson PAFs, and referred to as sort of lower output pickups. So much for the differences. Taking a look at what they do have in common, they do have in common the idea of being super nice, super beautiful, super well built guitars. They're just lovely, and you'll notice this sound, because you'll be hearing somewhat different sounds from them, obviously, with different pickups and different types of pickups. But what they were made to do was they were built with what was called the tri-sound. There were cheaper models, the AR-100, that didn't have that. That was just pure humbuckers, as a Les Paul would have. But the AR-300 is built with the tri-sound, so are quite a few of the high specification Ibanez from the time. What it means is you're able to switch each pickup between the humbucker setting, switch it up to a single coil setting where it splits the humbucker into single coils. So you get you can choose which one of them independently you would like as a single coil rather than a humbucker. And there is also a third setting where they, rather than having opposite directions of the humbucker that bucks the hum, so to speak, that cancels noise, you have a parallel winding that makes it more similar actually to a single coil pickup. And it's a bit peculiar, but and some people go like, yeah, but what should I use it for? And others just go like, yeah, but it sounds great, you can use it for kind of everything. But it's more single coily, I would say, than the humbuckery thing. So you have these three independently, and you have the switch between neck pickup, bridge pickup, and both pickups, as you would on any Les Paul. Also the button, the knobs are 4 knobs as on Les Paul, with 2 volumes and 2 tones. But the thing is that with the 3 positions you can have here and the 3 positions you can have on each microphone, you actually get a combination of 27 sounds, and that's before you even started dialing the tones and the gain and the volume knobs, and it's before you even started switching between clean and crunch channels on your amp or anything. Another cool feature that's the same on both these guitars, and not a super common solution, I think, in the guitar world generally, but Ibanez has it on these ones from both before both the late 70s and early 80s, what they called the Gibraltar bridge. They changed it to something different later, called the Gibraltar 2. That was nothing near it really. But the thing about this Gibraltar original bridge, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a pretty big metal block, as wide and big as the bridge, basically, is dug down into the guitar and connected there. So there is a big metal block referred to as a sustain block, supposedly connecting everything about the strings deeper and harder into the body, helping it to vibrate and vibrate longer, giving it sustain. And with the amazing sustain that these guitars have, it's just amazing. I am inclined to believe that there is something about this bridge that actually works the way it's intended. But who am I to judge, actually? So my own verdict, I'm not a knowledgeable person on these things really, but I just think these are guitars that can offer you very much. It's they're very rich and ringing, and I just think they're not like, you know, some people call them Les Paul killers, but I think, you know, try to get out of that mindset if that's the mindset you're in, because I think these ones excel in the more open and ringing space in a way, whereas the Les Paul, also super versatile guitar, but it may be sort of excelling in that rock, you know, nasal kind of rock sound. And I just think this is really deserves to be treated for what it is in itself, and they just, I'm not plugged in, but it's just ringing beautifully, and with the possibilities that it has. And you know, it's a guitar that when you really learn getting into a guitar and listening to the sound and adjusting your style to how it sounds, that's a rich guitar that will help you develop and sort of paint your canvas your way. So I really think it's a guitar to grow with and take for what it is, and exploring the possibilities of it.